gauges have equalized. We're just waiting for the governor to cut out, which again should happen between 120 and 150 psi. We're at 115, so we should be getting close to cutout pressure. And you will hear the cutout on that side by the air dryer. So you might want to make sure that passenger side window is cracked so it's easier to hear. Sometimes the fan cuts on and off, and that can be confusing. Don't be confused by the fan. So don't think the fan was the governor cutout, but that was the governor cutout. So when you hear that, read out the pressure. So sorry about that. So the governor cut out at 127 psi. So we're good. That was in specs. Okay. Now the air system works. We know that. So I'm ready to check the brakes. And I start with the parking brakes because they're the most important. If the parking brakes don't work, nothing else matters. It doesn't matter if the service brakes work if the parking brakes don't. You know, because I need to be able to park. So, and here's where you have to kind of go slowly and be very clear, because you have to be very descriptive about what you're doing, and it's easy to get tongue-tied here. Really easy. So I'm going to check first the tractor parking brake. So I'm going to release the trailer parking brake, leave the tractor parking brake set. Okay? So I'm going to put the truck in gear. I'm going to pull against the tractor parking brake, make sure it holds. So you're just going to put it in gear, then let the clutch out slowly until you feel it start to lug a little bit. And then when it does, you push the clutch back in. Don't, like, pump it way out, like, don't do that. Like, you know, just a little bit is all it takes. See? When you do that, the light comes on and says, hey, dummy, the parking brake is set. Stop trying to drive with the parking brake on. So, I've checked the tractor parking brake. It works. So now I'm going to do the reverse. I'm going to release the tractor parking brake and set the trailer parking brake. And this is really easy to get tongue-tied and say the wrong thing. Just go slowly, take your time with it. So I'm going to do the same thing to the trailer parking brake. Pull against it, make sure it holds. Okay, and it does. So the tractor and trailer parking brakes both work. Now I'm going to release both parking brakes, and I'm going to test the trailer service brakes by themselves. So this right here is the trailer handbrake. So I'm going to pull forward, and I'm going to check the speedometer when I do. So I'm going to check the speedometer, and then as I go forward, I'm going to push in the clutch and pull down the handbrake to check the trailer service brakes. Okay? Move a little bit. Push in the clutch. Trailer service brakes work. And the speedometer worked. I watched the gauge go up. So we're good there. Now I'm going to release this. Don't forget to release that. It'll stay down there. Don't do that. Now, I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to pull forward, and I'm going to apply the foot brake and make sure the service brakes work on the tractor and the trailer together. I can't check the tractor service brakes all by themselves, because when I push on the pedal, it activates both. So this activates trailer only. The foot pedal activates both when you have a trailer attached. So I'm going to test them both together, make sure they both work in combination. So pull forward again. Push in the clutch, push on the pedal. So the tractor and trailer service brakes work in combination. Okay. Now I'm going to put it back into neutral. Check my parking brakes. I've checked all my brakes. Now I'm ready to check the lights. Okay, so there are a few ways this can go. One, first I turn on all the lights. She may have you get out and do your own light check, or she may volunteer to get out and help you check the lights, in which case she'll, like, you know, tell you what to do. Or more likely she's just going to have you describe the process to her. So this is, and I'll give you my process for checking the lights. This is the simplest, easiest way for me to do it. So turn on all the lights and the left turn signal. Okay? And I'm going to get out and walk around the truck, look at every single light, make sure marker lights, and you're going to name every one. So I'm going to check marker lights, identification lights, clearance lights, and the left turn signal, as well as my low beam headlights. Look at everything as I go around once, make sure it all works. When I get back to the driver's side, I'm going to put on the right turn signal and the high beams. I'm going to walk around again, look at every single light. This time paying special attention to the right turn signal and the high beams. And when I get back to the driver's side again, turn off my four ways, turn off my high beams, and I'm going to apply the trailer handbrake, which activates the brake lights. So now I'm checking four ways and brake lights, as well as everything else. And then when I finish with that, I've checked every light on the truck. If you just describe that process to her and name every single kind of light there is, you'll be good. only lights you can't check all by yourself are the backup lights on the tractor. So those require 2 people or a very well-positioned mirror or something. So, but that's it. That's how you describe the light process. So, she'll probably just have you explain how you do it. She may not even have you do that. She may just say, you know, if you say, I'm ready to check the lights, she'll say, okay, good enough. Maybe, I don't know. It's possible. But be prepared to describe the entire process of how you check the lights by yourself. So, and one thing that I forgot earlier, and because I got distracted talking about aliens or whatever, is that one thing you want to do while you're waiting for the air compressor to fill the tank up to the cutout pressure is to check your permits. So I'm going to pull out my permit book, look at my registration, insurance, my DOT inspections, all my permits, and my shipping papers. Make sure everything is up to date, current, and in order. And I'll put that back in here. So I was talking too much, so I forgot to add that in that part. You can also do that now if you want. Doesn't matter. Anytime you do that, just sometime. I originally had it right here at the end, but it makes sense to do it while you're waiting for the thing, just to give you something to do. But once you've done the lights, that's it. Last thing. You're done. So it is pretty complicated. There's a lot to remember here. But we're going to practice it a lot, so it should be okay.
Cool.
The thing where you're checking the air system and doing those tests, those have to be done exactly right. That's where it's critical to do it the right way, because otherwise you won't get it right. Like if your key's not on, your warning lights won't come on when you pump the air down. And then like, how come this test isn't working? If you forget to push in the parking brakes, you can pump the air all you want. Like, it's not gonna. The parking brakes are already set. It's not gonna work. So, if at some point you realize that you forgot to turn the key on, forgot to release the parking brakes, you're halfway through, ask her to start over. So, I know this. This has to be done the exact right way. But if you screw it up, start over. Like it's not like you don't think, oh God, I just failed a test. Just think, you know what, I just get to start over. Like you get a do-over before you finish. Like when you get to the end and you check the lights and you say, okay, I'm finished, too late at that point to start over. But anytime before that, you can start the whole thing over. So keep that in mind. Like you have like a get out of jail free card to kind of get a do-over while you're still in the process. So don't sweat it too much. If you screw it up, start over. Like you get that freedom. So use it and don't be afraid of it, and don't be so intimidated by having to be precise on everything that you screw it up. Just remember, you can start over. You'll probably realize if you screw it up, and then just make sure to take your time with this. Like you can't rush this part anyway, obviously, because it takes a certain amount of time to do this. So don't try to rush it. I know I was saying earlier you want to get this done fairly quickly, and the exterior pre-trip and stuff, but this part can't be rushed. So don't try to rush it, because that's going to get you tongue-tied or nervous or forget something. So just take your time, breathe, remember to breathe, and just go through this. And just, if you forget something, you can come back to it, or you can start over. Like if you forget to check the heater during the first part, check it later. Doesn't matter when you do it. I've just tried to break it down in a way that sort of compartmentalizes everything, but you may want to do it differently. It may be harder for you to remember that way. I don't know. As long as you do the air system and the brake the right way, everything else is sort of fluid. You can do it different ways, but the air system test has to be done exactly right. So that's the critical part.
So we're allowed to rev up the RPMs to like 14, 15 while we're waiting for the air to be put back in.
Yeah, because that'll make it go faster. The faster the engine runs, the faster the compressor runs.
Okay.
Because it's geared to the engine. So at low idle, this is going to take a lot longer. You'll sit here awkwardly for forever. But so idle it up.
Okay.
That gets us over faster, and then it's a lot less awkward for everyone. Because that could be pretty awkward where you're sitting there waiting, and she's over here with a clipboard, and you're like, oh God.
Right.
So that's the end cap.
Okay.
So everybody's going to do this, and we're going to practice this every day, at least once, if not more than that. So the more practice you need on this, the more we're going to do it.
I know.
So don't be intimidated by this. But this is the hardest part of the entire CDL test, as far as I'm concerned. And from my experience with other students, this is the hardest part. And I've tried to make it easier, but there's only so much you can do, because this just has to be done this way.